You know, right when that happened, that tough win over Oregon State, you said it probably would take some time for it to sink in that you were going back to the Final Four. So, Kelvin, how does that feel right now? Has it sunk in yet?
It did. It did until I realized who we were playing. Watching them on tape the last couple of days, it's kind of gone by the wayside, and I'm going, holy smoke, is Baylor good.
I get that. They are good. They are really good. So let me jump ahead to that. There's some other background I want to get to, but when you look at them on tape, what do you see? What jumps out to you the most about Scott Drew's team?
You know, they're one of the few teams that they don't really throw it to the post, and it's irrelevant because they're so dynamic, scoring in the paint. You know, there's a stat that I look at halftime, paint points. How many points you score. Most people think of paint points as getting the ball to a big man, him scoring the ball in the paint. Well, every time you get a steal and go dunk it, that's a paint point. Every time you drive it into the paint and shoot a floater, that's a paint point. Every time you go up for a basket and they block it and they run down there and dunk, they're incredible with how many paint points they get. I think the most significant stat for me is how many points they average, Jim, of other teams' mistakes, other teams' turnovers. They average 21 points a game off your mistakes. And that's the most incredible stat of any team, of any stat I've ever seen. I've had teams get 21 in a game, but to average 21 points a game off turnovers makes you realize that if you can take care of the ball, you got a chance. But everybody says that. Villanova was playing them pretty tough. The next thing you know, the bottom fell out, and they had like 5 turnovers and 8 possessions, and the game's over. Arkansas turnovers, easy baskets. It's easy to see, but it's almost impossible to do because they're so athletic and quick and aggressive in those passing lanes. And Davion Mitchell's on-ball pressure is just something you can't prepare for.
Kelvin Sampson joining us. What a great breakdown that is. Yeah, their backcourt is something. In fact, they are something, but their backcourt especially. But, Kelvin, when I'm watching your team play, there's so much that you do that I really respect and admire and the way you get after it. But, man, you guys are monsters on the offensive glass in terms of getting to the glass and getting rebounds. Kelvin, what is that exactly? I mean, how much of that is about positioning? How much of that is about technique? And then how much of that is just your effectiveness on the offensive glass?
I think more the latter. You know, it's hard for me to take a lot of credit for any of that stuff. I mean, it's an emphasis of ours, sure. But I've emphasized it to a lot of teams. There's just a lot of teams that have guys like Justin Gorham and Fabian White, Reggie Chaney, Bryson Gresham. You know, we're not a great shooting team. Jim, and for those that have watched us, I realize that's not a revelation. But so we're not going to beat you with our first shot, and our kids understand that. You know, Grimes can get hot, Sasser can get hot, Mark can score, Jarreau can score. I mean, we've got a bunch of people who can make baskets, but we don't shoot it well enough to live off first shots. So we have to be a team that gets a lot of second chance opportunities. We call them unscripted points. You know, fast break points, second chance points, points off turnovers, a loose ball, pick it up, throw it ahead, something. You know, we have to get X amount of points doing that. As you look back at the Syracuse game, the Oregon State game, look at the Rutgers game at the end. Almost all those games, we scored in ways other than traditional ways. We don't come out and execute a great play and boom at the end. We just come off the pin down, catch it, shoot it. You know, we don't do that a lot. You know, we run good stuff and we execute at a good level, but you know, we're just not consistent enough shooting to live off that. So we spend a lot of time in practice just working on going to get our own missed shots.
Kelvin Sampson joining us. This is exactly why I love talking ball with you, Kelvin. Now, you've won everywhere you've been, but you've also said that you are a different and better coach now as a result of your time in the NBA. I'm really curious about that. Like, what is the biggest difference now in the way you coach and the way you go about your business based on your time in the NBA? What were your biggest takeaways from that time in the NBA, and what was that time like?
Well, my first stop was with San Antonio with Pop. I remember my first practice. Mike Budenhauser had the scouting report, and he was. And I can't remember who they were playing. It might have been New Orleans with Chris Paul or Phoenix with Steve Nash, but it was a group discussion. You know, mind you, I'm coming from my programs where, you know, one assistant does a scouting report. There's not a lot of dialogue. You know, we just did it and moved on. But Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, Bruce Bowen, Kurt Thomas, Damon Stoudemire, they all had input. Budenhauer's going over like 3 different ways we're going to guard the pick and roll on the side, in the middle, and I just take my palm of my hand, slam my forehead, and I'm going, holy cow, am I dumb? I had no idea you could do all this stuff.
Huh.
It was just like a reckoning for me. So I had this little composition book. I had a hotel room. I'd go back to at night, and I'd just write down all the things I was learning. And I say, man, I didn't know that you could. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I knew right away, Jim. I thought I could coach an NBA team, but then I realized I wasn't qualified. You know, these guys were light years ahead of me in terms of doing things that was required to win at that level. And then when I got to Milwaukee with Scott Skiles, that was truly a blessing. I mean, Scott was so good. Spacing, the offensive spacing and the different things you can do early in the shot clock, middle of the shot clock, late shot clock, take advantage of matchups here, matchups there. You know, just so many different things. It was like taking a sabbatical and just going to see how much you can learn. And then when I got to Houston with Kevin McHale, same thing. You know, everybody's going to come at James Harden different ways. Against this team, we're going to attack him in this area. The other team, we're going to run him off this and have him attack here, Dwight Howard here. You know, it's just taking advantage of a matchup in a different area of the floor, things that I just didn't do a very good job of when I was in college. So it's almost like a dome stadium opened up and you can see the sky. And I just learned so much, and I'm so appreciative of that opportunity that I got to go to the NBA.
I think that's fascinating. Your time in the NBA, the guys you worked with, the things you learned. I love the fact, Kelvin, that you carried around a composition book and went back to your room every single night and you filled it up full of notes of things that you didn't know. And that brings us all the way back to this. Now, your son, Kellen, tweeted a photo of the two of you and your daughter, Lauren, hugging after the win over Oregon State. He posted it with the caption, quote, "So many long nights, so many early mornings, so many times we were told no. This hug was worth every second of the journey. I hope everybody who said yes feels the emotion and the gratitude in my eyes. Will dance as long as they play the music," end of quote. It's an amazing caption. What was the hug like for you, and what's it mean to share this with your son, Kelvin?
Well, it was very emotional. We're so blessed, Jim, because I have so many great friends. I mean, friends, you know, people that know me, that have supported us at such a high level over the years. And you can't have success unless you have good people around you. And we've been blessed with that. But one of the reasons why I wanted to come back and coach in college was I wanted to do it with Kellen. I wanted to coach with him. That was important to me because I knew how good he was. But, you know, it sounds superficial because I'm the dad. Dads always say good stuff about their sons. You're supposed to. But I knew that he was – I knew he was really good. And then I also knew that my daughter Lauren, who used to be the director of sports marketing at the College of Charleston, and that was what her job was. I said she would be awesome in a external operations role. So I thought through all these positions, the people that I would hire, and how we were going to move this program forward. it was about getting the administration on board, getting them to see the vision, share the vision, buy into it, and let's go. So that hug was represented a lot of things, but just the appreciation of the people that believed in us, and hopefully they felt a lot of satisfaction from that moment as well.